Yes, I said that the use of stringless paving controlled by GPS and laser technology is a modern and very efficient option. Click. Okay. The concrete is discharged either directly in front of the machine, gradually in order to limit the drop height. A crane is often necessary, especially for larger working width, or in the bin of a side feeder, for example, if transport by trucks on the foundation is impossible because of the presence of dowel chairs of reinforcement steel, or in a supply container from which the concrete is scooped with a crane. Following? Yes. The super smoother is a beam float suspended from the backside of the slip-form paver machine and that moves back and forth in the longitudinal direction while simultaneously traversing the freshly finished concrete surface. It allows to eliminate small finishing errors or any remaining high and low spots behind the slip-form paver, improving of driving comfort, limits the nuisance caused by the unevenness with a short wavelength. Subsequently, you have these small traces of cement slurry produced after the passage of the super smoother are removed by dragging a section of burlap of a drag plate. A good evenness depends primarily on the following factors: a concrete mixed with a uniform consistency adapted to the paving machine and the working circumstances, a regular supply of concrete, and an uniform spreading in front of the paver. Correct operation of the paving machine, which in turn depends on the setting of the forms of the sensor line, the quality of the track runways, the regulation of the sensor, etc. A steady progress without stopping and a constant fixed speed, and if necessary, supplementary specific equipment to eliminate the small bumps after the paving machines, etc. The dowels are placed on supports perfectly straight and strongly fixed on the base. Distance of 30 centimeters between dowels. It must be ensured that at all times that the chairs and dowels remain in place while the concrete is cast. And the position of dowels must be very clearly indicated on left and right sides of the pavements to prepare a perfect sewing, and the marks must be visible at night. Some machines are equipped with a dowel bar inserter. Dowels bars are inserted in the fresh concrete down to the correct elevation after the vibrator. But every precaution must be taken to place the dowels very correctly and not to disrupt the evenness of the concrete surface. Tie bars for longitudinal joints can be installed in the longitudinal joints as follows: either by inserting them into the fresh concrete or by placing them on metal supporting chairs or by chemically anchoring them in holes drilled in the hardened concrete. All the equipment that is necessary to make joints in the fresh or hardened concrete must be present at the construction site. light and controllable machine with automatic advancement, stable and powerful equipment. The surface finishing is intended to give optimal properties with regard to skid resistance and rolling noise without detrimental effects on the smoothness of the pavement surface. Here an example of a surface concrete treated by brooming with use of a stiff brush with very closely spaced fibers. Another surface finishing, transverse and longitudinal grooves realized with a rake. But the consequences are a very high noise, a poor comfort, and so actually in Belgium the usual finishing is chemical exposed aggregate. This technique consists of chemical stripping by spraying a setting retarding agent on the surface of the fresh concrete immediately after the concrete has been finished. Later on, 24 hours, the non-hydrated skin of concrete mortar is removed so that the stone skeleton of the concrete is exposed. But immediately after spraying, the surface is protected by means of a plastic sheet, and the plastic sheet is kept in place until the skin of concrete mortar is removed. And after removal of the concrete skin, a curing is spread, but you can see here the final result. Yes, for good reasons to protect the concrete: dehydration, desiccation, protection from rain, sunshine, frost, and mechanical impact. A curing compound usually used to protect the road concrete against drying out. Protection with a plastic sheet, the same eventually in case of rain. Insulating covers are used to protect also from sunshine. And every necessary measure shall be taken to protect the fresh concrete from damage due to all kinds of mechanical influences, bicycle, animals, pedestrian, and also police car. Setting up small pedestrian bridges may be very important for the residents along the road. The fourth point, some issue related to design, construction, and concrete mix. The width of the pavement slabs must be limited to a maximum of 4.5 meters. And a joint according to the red line would have been better. In this case, the transversal joint is blocked and a crack appears along the joint. Why? Because it is necessary to avoid placing dowels in the two perpendicular joints. And the designer must locate the joints in such a way that any sharp corners are avoided. Beware of adjacent joints, and an expansion joint must always be made around every fixed obstacle. Here a typical unwanted crack in an acute angle. The general rule in design of joints is to avoid stress concentration and so have no wide cracks. Examples of cracks by bad sympathy and here by good sympathy. In a concrete mix, cleanliness and quality of coarse aggregates are essential to avoid local and unpredictable damages. A concrete band has been manually added near slip-form concrete with excess of water in the mixed concrete, and the state of the surface shows a rather bad final quality. The same excess of water in the concrete mix, surface damage and edge collapse. Also surface damage due to an overdose of water with other aggravating factors, high sand content, too high dosage of coloring agents. To protect from frost, the use of an air entraining agents is important. Placing concrete in cold weather is dangerous. The protection can consist of, for example, not woven geotextile, and without protection, damages are difficult and very expensive to repair. Plastic cracks on this photo. Damage caused by insufficient protection against the drying out, sunshine, and also wind. Some conditions to have the annoying consequences of alkali-silica reaction, humid environment, supply of alkali in the constituents of concrete and also the de-icing salts, sensitive aggregates, and the frost causes an expansion and the severe damages also cannot be repaired. Which protection against alkali-silica reaction? In Belgium, mandatory use of low alkali cement, and for example in Germany, requirements on both cement and aggregates. Last point, conclusion, and briefly some international practices. A brief, a certain view to the future in the field of concrete roads. Top layer with fine aggregates. The smaller the grain size, the quieter the pavement surface becomes. And if the pavement is executed in two courses, wet on wet, the smoothness and the evenness of the surface are considerably improved, and also the noiseless characteristic and the comfort of the pavement surface. And I think that is due to the fact that the second slip-form paver can realize a thin course more easily. The machines can proceed at a constant speed without interruption, and as a result accurately follow the levels that are set by the steering equipment. And these aspects, very good evenness, noise level reduction, are very important for the final comfort of all the concrete pavements, and in reality the comfort of all users and residents. The same experiment, 2 layers in Germany with concrete slabs. In Netherlands, CRCP to have a great resistance and high bearing capacity, and on the CRCP 2 layers of porous asphalt to obtain a very low noise level. But Netherlands have very strong requirements in acoustic protection. The same technique to concrete layers in Belgium, it's a CRCP, and chemical exposed aggregates as surface finishing, fine aggregates in the top layer. Yes, the final touch after super smoother, the plastic sheet after spreading the retarder, and you see the final result. Yeah, it's a pavement with a very good evenness and a great comfort in concrete. The intense heavy traffic at the roundabouts induces extreme stresses in the pavements. The effect of such stresses includes rut formation, the loss of surface aggregates, and cracking as a result of insufficient bearing capacity in the road structure beneath the off-site wheels of tilting vehicles. These observations led to concrete pavements for roundabouts with several important advantages well known as far as the concrete road technology is concerned, especially the CRCP technology in this case, very suitable for heavy traffic. And no abutments are needed in this application of concrete. The first CRCP roundabout in Belgium was built in 1995 in a site with access to cement industry, asphalt plant on the right, and quarry. Today this roundabout is always in very good conditions despite an intense heavy traffic. The double-layer CRCP, 2 layers with use of aggregate, recycled aggregates in the bottom layer. Interesting for the sustainable development, but I think let's be careful. It's absolutely necessary to study and identify the characteristic of the recycled materials. With materials of different quality, the 2 concrete layers may not have the same strengths, the same behavior with respect to temperature variation. And so studies and experiments are essential to confirm the value of this option. Yes. Another experiment combining classical reinforcement and steel fiber reinforcement in a CRCP. It's focusing on crack drift and reduction of risk of punch-out. You know that punch-out is a very dangerous damage for CRCP. And with this combined concrete pavement, 0.65% longitudinal reinforcement and 20 kilo per cubic meter steel fibers, but it's an ongoing experiment. Another experiment, short crack inducer, also in RCP, at the edge of the pavement, 40 centimeter wide, 4 centimeter deep, and spaced at 1.20 meter. It's to control the distance between the cracks. Yes, I would like to finish to thank my colleagues, my Belgian colleagues, André Jasinski, General Director of FEBELSEM, Belgian Federation of Cement Industry, and Luc Rens, Manager for UPAVE Association. Thank you for your kind attention. İlginiz için teşekkür ederiz.